Hello, everyone. Welcome to your weekly world session. I'm Terryann at leurbanretreat.com. Please like, share, and subscribe. Give this to all your friends, family, and let them enjoy the healing of the work that we're going to do today, which is February 3rd, 2026. We've had a massive full moon, and I'm down in Florida, massive cold front, lots of lizards out there freezing up and some of them dying. It's pretty sad, but it's been a pretty strange full moon. So, two people brought up two different topics: violence and injustice. Those are the two topics we're going to work on. And the first place that appeared as I was seeing those two words was the pulvinar. The pulvinar is a section in the thalamus. We have two thalami, I guess, bilateral, and it sees things as they are. And we want to look at it through the lens of right and left, which is feminine and masculine, so we can integrate the negative. So that we have an unintegrated dark side, there is a possibility that the outside world would reflect that unintegrated part. So we would either project it out there, or the more, as they say, the more you resist, the more it persists. So if I resist something dark within me and I don't look at it and bring it into the light, sunlight being the best disinfectant, then I'm going to see it everywhere around me. And I might go, hey, that's you, not me. You're violent. You're not just. I need to push that on you so that I don't see it. We would like to balance that out. Of course, those of you who are unwilling, that is absolutely fine. There's nothing here that you must do or have to do. But those of us who are ready to kind of go, what are those bits and pieces that I don't see within myself that can be in the shadow side that need to be integrated so I understand they're there? I don't have to use them. I don't need to exhibit them. I do need, I might need them at some point in my life. You could say, why is the mean person, the mean girl inside me available to me? Well, if someone is going to destroy me and my life, I might have to do something to retaliate that I would consider as mean, but I have to do something to stop them. So you would need that mean girl, but we don't need it very often. Okay, we don't need that part of us very often. We might need the part of us that's warlike. If somebody comes in and tries to attack you, hurt you, you might have to fight back. It's terrible, and mostly women understand this, is that when we are attacked, we may attack back, but usually we have to tend and befriend because we're usually not as strong as the attacker. Even for myself, my size, big, huge person, still, I know I've been, uh, arm wrestling or, play fighting with men that are smaller than me and they can still beat me. Yeah, so they have a lot more body strength, etc. But I want to have that ability at my fingertips if I need to. But of course, as a female, I'm going to use that less. I'll try to use some other ability to get out. So I'm bringing a lot of different components in. We don't want to reject personalities. We want to be able to select. All right, you did bring this up. I'm not going to say your name, but you brought this up. We do want to be able to select those personalities that are required. Not always. When will that happen? Well, I don't want information coming into my brain and going through my thalamus. That is the area where all um, information that comes in through our senses, that's the only information we get, comes in through our senses, and it goes through this thalamus. I don't want it to do that so that I'm sitting there thinking about things and evaluating things while a car is coming at me. If a car is coming at me, we want it to detour and just go straight to the amygdala complex so we can jump out of the way. We want that to happen. But sometimes there are things that are short circuited. So sometimes, again, I'll say, especially for it being in a woman's body, what ends up happening is we will take a little longer because we can't always be the ones who are fighting. Yes, we have to run out of the way of a car, but in a dangerous situation, I don't think I'm going to get my arms up and get ready to fight, because I'll probably fight like this. And we know what happens when you fight like this. Your fists are going to break. And as there's a show called Letterkenny, and the brother is a big guy and the sister's little, and she punches him in the arm, and she's punching him in the arm, and he goes, "If I ever find out that you hit me, there'll be hell to pay." Kind of the whole idea that he can't even feel it, which is, so many men say, no, we can't even feel the punch of a woman. It doesn't feel like anything, because it's just doesn't have that strength. So in those cases, we wouldn't want to do that. I'm just trying to delineate the difference when a male is going to experience violence versus a female. Now, some males might experience it the way females do because they might be smaller in size, etc. But it's still not exactly the same way. We've seen a lot of little guys get really feisty. So there's just this vast difference in violence and injustice in the way a man's going to deal with it, right? One of the things that the feminine or females tend to do, not the feminine, females, they tend to resort more quickly to violence. We know this statistically, women are have that tendency to be more violent in many ways. There's a subset of men who are violent, but women can resort to violence a little bit more readily because we know we're weaker and we'll do that, and we live off the idea that the man's not going to hit back. And this is generic, okay? There's a lot of exceptions. I'm not working with the exceptions. I'm working with the understanding in our left-right side of the brain that these things are going on within us, and many times they're unspoken, right? A woman could go like this to a man. He's likely not going to do it back to her. I've done it many times to my partner. I'll whack him like that as a joke, and he's never going to do that to me, never. And I think about that often. I'm like, don't do that. Just don't do that. Why would you do that? When he's not able to kind of push you back, I would just fall over. So he'll restrain himself, that benevolence of the masculine. So we want to work with the two sides of the masculine, meaning the benevolence versus where there is violence, where men have to control their violence a lot more than women do. And then we've got the feminine, and there's, by the way, when I say women and feminine, men and masculine, they're very different things. Very, very different things, right? That within a human being, masculine and feminine is going to be very different. It's only a 1% differential. So we are way more similar than we are different. But that little difference is enough to say we're going to operate differently. Just like Mark Gungor talks about male and female brains. Male brains are all compartmentalized. Female brains, we're all over the place. Why do we need that? Well, we need that for raising kids, etc. Now, if we evolve in species where we're all hermaphroditic and we can self-replicate, that's fine. But for the moment, this is the way we are still. We have not had enough time to evolve into some other species. All right, so let's look at that. This information, your brain is going to decide what it needs. Many of you already know a lot of this, so your brains are already differentiated in that way, and we want to just get those connections where it goes straight to the amygdala, and it shouldn't. Those connections need to go. We want the filters of how you're going to perceive things to drop in relationship to your causal body. Why in relationship to the causal body? Well, the karma that has been needed for you to evolve as a person, as an individual, as a spiritual being, as a physical being, as a soulful being, is part and parcel of your journey. So whatever is allowed to move, great, at this point in time. What do I mean by allowed? It's not permission by anyone. It is what you are ready for. You can't do anything that you're not ready for. And secondly, we can download the eighth chakra material that will support that differentiation and interrelatedness, as well as integration of whatever parts of your dark side that can now be integrated. So you might even see it, You might go, okay, that's part of my dark side. Okay, and think of things like jealousy, like um, resentment. I'm trying to think of other things, but whatever you perceive in your dark side. I was studying jealousy and resentment today, so those two are popping up quite quickly. Your own sense of injustice, your own blame, your own victimhood, those are really dark images, but they're big categories. So saying that you're going to integrate your victim, sure, but the victim is also divided into many, many categories. And it's really hard to say I'm never a victim. There's always that moment where all of a sudden you've slipped into victim mode, right? We slip very, very quickly into victim mode. We don't even notice we're in victim mode. So it's great if you can notice that and notice what fuels that victim. Because very often the victim can be fueled by resentment, the victim can be fueled by envy, right? So you could take a peek at those things and see how you can integrate them. You do not have to accept them. You do not have to say, I am that. No, that is not what we do here. What we do is look at all these possible personalities, and they are available, and you may fall into them, especially if you ignore them. The more you resist, the more that persists. So if I resist the victim, then I'm not going to be able to see it, but I'll end up being the victim, which is not what we do. All right, so what a heavy duty session, but that last part somehow just integrated something for me. So one of my resistances is I do not want to be the victim, so I try very hard to overcome it. Whereas now I just saw it as, oh, there she is. There's my victim. Oh, she's right there. And she will show up. But I need to thank her because when she shows up, she can show me how to integrate and know she's there so she no longer dominates me. That she's there. She might appear. It's okay, right? You're there. Thank you. But now I can actually make the choices in my life. Now that I know she's there, I won't unconsciously fall into her patterning. Whoa, that's really, really, really beautiful. All right, so nice deep breath. And we're just going to allow this to release. We're going to integrate the consciousness of what I just talked about, whatever came up in the session, which I can't even remember at this point. But all of that will integrate in the brain so it differentiates, then we'll allow it to dump into the void of the heart so that it's very clear. And we'll let the gut brain sort through the garbage and get rid of the trash. Let's go. Let's tap head. Actually, I'm going to tap everywhere. I want all of my sensory cortex and then go deep into limbic, thalamic, and then also get into my brainstem so that even my movement can coordinate. Because even our movements can be reflective of how our feminine works, right? We've got the substantia nigra, which is Venus, which is the feminine. I want all these bits and pieces to be able to operate appropriately with the moon. Moon is hypothalamus. Sun is the thalamus. So we want those energies to be working together. So it's not just left, right. It is all of the brain being ruled by the planets and also masculine and feminine qualities that are within us. Okay, I can feel it now just moving to the heart, letting all the pathology go, the neuroses go, and then come into my gut brain so we could just poop it out, whatever it is that is in each cell, right? We want the cell to metabolize this awareness so it can dump it all out and allow us to be an integrated whole. And just for a moment, sit and think of your hero's journey, right? Every day, you are the hero that gets up and makes its way through life. and slaying your dragons. Whatever dragon that is, there's always a dragon that shows up. I think of those lizards outside, all of the lizards out there, and how they're confronting the dragon, which is the weather today. And it's threatening their lives, and they're finding the best way to get out of it. But each and every one of us has a dragon to slay every day. And we're just looking to every day figure out what's a better and better way to deal with our dragons. They're always showing up, always showing up. And if I step back and go, oh, there's a dragon, what am I going to do? Well, I'm taking the victim role. But it's kind of nice. My favorite role is to be the damsel in distress, which I'm not. But would love to be that damsel in distress. But I do like the imagery of the damsels or the females in story that fall asleep, because our feminine needs to go to sleep. Man or woman, the feminine needs to go to sleep, and miracles happen when we sleep. So sometimes just leaving a problem right when you're in school and you're studying or you're trying to figure out this math problem. I don't know about you, but I used to like sit and struggle and finally got to go to sleep. I go to sleep and wake up in the morning, and it was clear as day how that math problem can be solved. And that was the end of it. Um, Certain things you keep trying, and then finally you just fall asleep and you wake up, and all of a sudden you're getting all these phone calls back and information, and you go, okay, my problem is being solved. So the feminine does that. So our masculine goes out and tries to deal with everything, and the feminine allows us to just, whoop, let's just go to sleep. When you can't go to sleep, it's not so great. So let's just tune in to those of you. This isn't my problem, but for a lot of people, it's a problem where the brain stays awake. It doesn't access that moon. It doesn't access the possibility of the hypothalamus in relationship to the pineal being able to just close down, fall asleep. Okay, I've done everything I can do about this dragon that's in my way. Now I need to sleep. What does sleep do? Well, the whole body rejuvenates. We need to dream. We need to rest. When the body's sleeping, it does all kinds of processing for us. So sometimes it just needs to sleep. Let's allow that cushion, like a little cloud of understanding for the pineal and pituitary and hypothalamus, just to fall asleep in that little cloud and go, yeah, I just need to rest. And there we go. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful sleep tonight. And I'll see you next week. Bye.